Yeah, Bang Bang Rahal. When you go to like places like the Scrubs, Wandsworth, the Ville, those sort of prisons, yeah, London prisons, big prisons where in my days it was 2, 3, sometimes even 4 up in a cell. You very rarely get a letter. You very rarely get a picture, a photograph or whatever. But you get the old boys, the old gangsters, that if you get in a cell with one of those, they will educate you big time. But they educate you more so in prisons like when you go to do your bird, like Albany, Chelmsford, Maidstone, Gartrey, Long Lartin, them sort of places, yeah, where you do your bird and you got your single cell, yeah. They teach you Fraser, Tony Lawrence, Alan Dixon. There's quite a lot that even Ronnie Bender that taught me a lot of things about letters and photographs. Yeah. First of all, the letter comes. Read your letter, rip it up or burn it. Yeah, because you know what's been said. You don't want no one else to come in your cell and get hold of your letter and start reading it and get the address. Yeah, and it happens. This happens 24/7. This is a true story. This. Even the photographs, Fraser, all them people, Lawrence, Dixons, a lot of these old gangsters, yeah, that I was away with, they don't leave pictures on the wall. They don't even like pictures sent in, and if they are sent in, they put them under the bed in a box or somewhere safe, yeah, so that no one else can find them or see them in a cell. Because what happens there, this is true, a true story, and it was like this guy, and listen, this is what happens in prison with long-termers, even short-termers, when they go to these prisons. You go to a prison where you're doing your bird, your big bird, yeah? You get guys that come in to have a talk to you, look at your pictures. Oh, she's nice, this, that, and the other, and go on a visit and see your missus. She's pretty. The guy might be doing a 15 stretch, 12 stretch, 10 stretch. The geezer that's there might be doing a couple of 3 years, 4 years, and they make a beeline for their cell and get their letters and start reading the letters, or they get the address. And then it happens, mate. It happens 24/7. And not only does it happen like that, right, but it happens with guys that are getting big birds, yeah? And they're getting a big bit of bird, and their mates, usually they're very close mates, are the ones that go round to their wives and tell them lots of lies and get in with the wife, and that's it. Before you know where you are, the wife don't come visit you, she don't come write you, she don't come and send any photographs, she ain't doing none of that, yeah? And it happens. This particular time, I was in Albany, and in my days, in them times, it wasn't really known for sugary water, you know, but there was a few people that got it. And this guy was friends with a very good face in Albany. I ain't saying its name because it's quite embarrassing, yeah. Was very good friends with a face. Used to go in his cell, you know, tease, puff, and all this sort of thing all the time. And the guy got, when I say you don't see a lot of sugar and water, but you do see it, yeah? And you see the damage it does. It can do a lot of damage to people, yeah? And this guy that was mucking about with got the guy's address and this, that, and the other, and went to see his wife when he got out, and she didn't see the guy no more, and the guy didn't know what was going on, but then he found out that it was the guy, his mate, that come to Albany and was right close to him, and that happened, yeah. When the guy moved, he moved from Albany. At that time, he moved to Chelmsford Prison when I was there. The guy was on B Wing, which is a different wing to C Wing. C Wing was a long-term wing. This guy was only doing about 4 years, I think, 4 years, 5 years, something like that. But he was on B Wing. He was on B Wing. The guy that was doing a big bit of bird, I think he was doing 18, I think, armed robber, was in Chelmsford Prison, but he was in C Wing. he got to find out that the guy that was mucking about with his missus, right, was now on B-Wing. So the guy on B-Wing looks like he's in plenty of trouble, but it's a different wing, isn't it? So in Chelmsford, it's quite hard to get in Chelmsford prison. It was quite hard to get to Winter Wing, you know. But it happened. I mean, Ray Rosa used to come over all the time, and there's a few other people that Jitterbug used to come over to C Wing as well, quite a lot. Jitterbug, yeah. But this guy kept his head down and did not come over. But then they found out that he was on that wing, B Wing. They got this guy, they paid this guy some money, and he'd done this other fella with sugar and boiling water. He'd done it, he threw it straight front in his face, full frontal, and it come down all on his chest and everything, right? With that sugar and water, it burns. It goes through whatever it's hitting, yeah? Because it's sugar and hot water. The sugar's like, well, it just burns you, you know what I mean? It doesn't go nowhere. It takes ages, you know what I mean? Like oil, it's the same sort of thing, yeah? And it burnt the guy's chest really, really bad. And the guy went to an outside hospital, which he was near to death. He was so close to death, his face is a complete mess. It burnt all his chest, and he was close to death, yeah. And obviously, so the guy that got it done was over the moon, because his wife had left him for this guy, you know what I mean? Now the guy's critical, you know what I mean? And this guy pulled through, but he was in a bad way. He was up for parole and this, that and the other, but because of what happened, he didn't get parole. He didn't get parole over the burning and this, that and the other, and the sugar and things, but he got parole. So he had X amount of time left to do, yeah? He was then moved to another prison, but he was in the system, right? And in prison, long-termers get to know the system, get to know certain people in the system, and they find out this, that, and they find out what prison he went to, yeah? It was told that he went to the Ville, yeah? This guy went to the Ville, and he got to the Ville, mate, and the words was put about this guy nearly got killed. I mean, he nearly got killed. I mean, his face is unrecognisable. His face was all over the gaff, all big scars on it, like big bits of flesh and this, that and the other. But they tried to put other flesh on it, took flesh from his legs and put on his face, and it was in a right bad way. I mean, no one would go with him, ever. He was in a bad way, yeah. And when he got to the Ville, it don't take long for that information to get to the Ville. And when he had nothing, he didn't have a long left. He got parole. I think he had something like weeks left to get out, and he got virtually killed, mate. He got virtually nearly killed. They cut him up, mate, really bad. They stabbed him up really bad, and he was in a critical way. Imagine that, took half his face off. He nearly died with the sugar and water when it went into his chest, and then gets transferred to another nick, the Ville, got parole. He's coming out in a minute, and that's what happens. And then he got nearly killed. They nearly stabbed him. They nearly killed him, mate. They stabbed him like something terrible. They'd done him with coat hangers, yeah? The coat hangers, they'd done him metal coat hangers with a thing. They done him bad with that, mate. And they murdered him, mate. They'd done him so badly, he nearly died, yeah? But it's something that people out there, yeah, if you're going to get, people out there going to get in prison or in prison watching my podcast, yeah, or my video, understand this, yeah. When you go in prison, when you get letters you don't get letters no more, yeah. But even photographs isn't so much no more because they come on the phone. But even on your phones, it's still the same. Innit? People get hold of your phones and go through your phone. They still do that. I should imagine the phone's worse because people keep the photos on the phone, you know. They could be even worse if the guy says, "Come on, can I lend your phone tonight?" You know what I mean? Go through it and see photographs. So be careful, yeah. Be careful of your phones. Be careful of pictures coming to your cell, one way or the other. Be careful, yeah. Make sure that your phones took all your pictures off your phone. It happens, mate, and the only way to stop it is to stop that. Take it off your phones. There's plenty of guys out there now, mate, that their missus are getting sorted out by a mate of theirs that was in prison with them, or a mate of theirs that was out of prison now, and he's walking the streets. So be careful. It's a terrible thing to talk about, but it happens 24/7. You know, happened to me when I was in prison. Happened to me. I wasn't in prison very long, and it happens. Pals slip into your wife's. They give towels to your missus. They lie like anything just to get into their knickers, yeah? So be careful, yeah? I mean, you know, there's nothing worse than years ago, what was really funny, right, that most gangsters, villains in my early days, in the 70s, 60s, 70s, going up to the 80s, was always in for armed robberies, big armed robberies, yeah? And, you know, always the prison was full of them then. I think 99.99% was armed robbers in prison, like little ones, but there was the big ones, you know. You had the Eriths, that were very good at armed robberies. There was mustard at armed robberies, the Eriths, you know what I mean, from South East London. You had Kelly, you had all them people from Bermondsey's, all around that little firm. That little firm from Bermondsey's, all around there, they was all mustard doing armed robberies. It was just one of them things, gold bullion. It was mustard there, yeah. But even in my times, when there was all, like, you know, all them people that were locked away for them big birds, mate. Can you imagine that? They used to have plenty of money, loads of money, go to all the clubs, yeah? And you know, Tudor Streets and all that, big club, there's a clubs down Tudor, I forget the name of it now, down Tudor Street, big clubs down there, all over the place, you know, London Bridge Club and all them, you know, and the City Club and all them, and the Embassy clubs and them old-fashioned clubs I used to go to, and used to have young birds. Used to be Keiko, get young birds, buy them, get them a flat, buy them nice clobber, so they could slip round and see them now and again. Lovely. And so they leave the wife, they leave the kids, but they look after the wife, they look after the kids. They don't let the wife know, but 9 times out of 10 she does know, but she's just swallowed it because she loves her old man and he's looking after the kids and her. So the birds they get hold of are absolutely stunning, model women, model birds they get, the girlfriends, and they love it. You know, all of a sudden they're telling them, sleeping in bed, telling them every fucking thing, every story, we all do it. Bed talk, yeah? Pillow talk, or whatever they call it, yeah? They get nicked. The bird gets nicked with them. The bird tells them everything she knows about it. He told me this, he told me that. The old man the geezer, he goes and gets a 10 stretch, 12 stretch, 15 stretch. That's the sort of bird they was given in them days for armed robberies. Them judges like Argyle, Michigan Mason, Abdullahs and Melfi Stevens and Griffiths Jones and them sort of judges, they would whoop it up here, big sentences they give you. You know what I mean? Big sentences for armed robberies. Look what they done to the train. Look, me. Big bird, yeah? And go in prison, and the birds, who more or less grassed them up, I suppose, in a way, they would leave him. I don't want him no more. He's bought me a flat. He's given me plenty of money. I'm okay now. But when the old bill bounce on them, they lose the flat, they lose the money, they grass him up. He's in there now doing a 15, 20 stretch. He's lost his girlfriend. What's he do? He gets straight away writes a letter, because the letters in my days, write a letter to the wife. All right, darling, yeah, and this, that, and the other. And the wife comes and sees him, then he's back with the wife. This is crazy. It was in my days, mate. That's what happened. All armed robbers but the money they used to get in them days, mate. There wasn't so much big confiscation orders in my times. It wasn't known, confiscation orders. That wasn't about. I think confiscation orders come in the late 90s. Come in the late 90s where people were getting big confiscation orders. But it wasn't before. I mean, the bricks, mats and all that lot, you know. But the herbs from mustard on robbers, as I said, all South East London, like Bermondsey's, all round them manors, mate, they was the best. They was the best of the best. They were the best armed robbers ever, and all the big armed robbers used to come from over that way. So what was that? I forget the name of the prison, the robbery squad that was right by Rovere Tunnel. Forget the name of it, mate, but they were mustard, mate. You know what I mean? Anyway, this is Bang Bang Rail. Please press the like button, subscribe, and good morning. Nice one.